The Dictator.
China takes down Winnie the Pooh, the latest victim of censorship. Winnie the Pooh, the chubby and seemingly harmless fictional bear in an undersized red shirt who eats too much honey, has been banned in China. No official explanation has been offered, but reports suggest the ban was triggered by online posts comparing the cartoon bear to Chinese President Xi Jinping. Winnie the Pooh and President Xi go way back. In 2013, the meme that started it all compared an image of Pooh and Tigger to a photo of Xi and Obama. In 2014, another meme likened an awkward handshake between Xi and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to an image of Pooh and his gloomy friend Eeyore. In 2015, a picture of Xi in a parade car next to a picture of Pooh in his toy car reached next-level status, becoming the most censored image in China that year. With the latest crackdown, GIFs and images of Winnie the Pooh have been removed from messaging app WeChat's official gallery. Using Winnie the Pooh's name is also banned on Weibo, China's popular social network, and when typed in the comments section, gets the warning, "Content is illegal." The ban may be an effort to bolster Xi's image before the Communist Party's National Congress, a meeting held every 5 years in which the elite make important decisions on party leadership.
China ditches one-child policy. Go forth and multiply! One more time. China is lifting their one-child policy, which was enacted in 1980 out of fear of overpopulation. The policy has prevented 400 million births and led to horrific human rights violations, such as forced abortions for some violators, forced labor, and even jail time for others. Thanks, Xi Jinping! China's birth rate, currently at 1.66 per woman, is expected to rise, but it may be too little too late. China may be one of the first countries to grow old before they grow rich. A 4-2-1 problem arises when grandparents and parents depend on a single child for their social security. Due to a long history of preferring sons over daughters, China is now left with a disproportionate number of men looking for wives. Urbanization's on the rise, which may discourage couples from having kids at all. But if they do decide to make a baby, it's all good if they want to make two. China remains the world's most populous country, but India is on pace to surpass them by 2022. Economic pressure caused China's birth rate to fall long before the one-child policy was instated. So it'll be interesting to see if scrapping it actually makes a difference. And it's hard to tell if China's daughters will finally get a fair stake in their male-dominated society.
China needs to be put in its place. While the West focuses on the mess they caused in the Middle East, things have been getting messy out here in Asia. New satellite imagery shows China has been dumping weapon systems on all of its 7 artificial islands in the contested South China Sea. Xi Jinping flat out lied when he said China didn't intend to militarize the resource-rich trade route last year during a U.S. visit. Surprise, surprise! China's defense ministry says the military systems are proper and lawful and for self-defense. Yeah, sure they are. China has a bad habit of claiming things that don't belong to it. And when called out, has no problem acting like a whiny brat. And then there's Philippine President Duterte, who's actually naive enough to think that kissing Chinese butt will make them share. Duterte has threatened to end joint military exercises with the U.S. in favor of China. What the U.S. needs to do is lock things down with Japan and South Korea, and more importantly, increase military cooperation with Taiwan to keep China's posturing in check.
Mark Zuckerberg sucks up to Chinese internet security head. Facebook is still banned in China, probably because they already have their own knockoff, Renren. But that's not enough to stop Mark Zuckerberg from surgically attaching his lips to the Chinese government's backside. After showing the world he speaks Chinese, Zuckerberg set his sights on pleasing Lu Wei, the head of China's repressive internet regulator, during Lu's recent U.S. fact-finding mission. When Lu visited the Facebook offices in Menlo Park, Zuckerberg busted out his broke Chinese to welcome the Vice Minister of the State Internet Information Office. Zuckerberg let loose it at his desk, where he just so happened to have a copy of David Beckham's book and Chinese dictator Xi Jinping's The Governance of China lying around. I've also bought copies of this book for my colleagues, Zuckerberg told Lu. I want them to understand socialism with Chinese characteristics. Zuckerberg even had a toy mascot of Chinese phone maker Xiaomi on his desk. On a side note, Zhu Guang, the VP of Google knockoff, Baidu, also accompanied Lu on his US trip. Bet he had a good time during the Google tour.
Mr. Meeting between President Ma and dictator Xi is a match made in heaven. As far as lame ducks go, Taiwan's President Ma Ying-jeou is by far the lamest. Mr. Ma has done nothing but seek closer ties with China in a promise that the commies would solve Taiwan's economic problems. 8 years on, the only thing that's positive is Chinese tourists suck. Ma's KMT ran out of China like cowards after losing the civil war to the CCP. Only to come to Taiwan and continue their corrupt, incompetent existence. Thank God Taiwanese people developed democracy in spite of them and are now ready to vote the KMT out. Which brings us to the surprise summit between Ma and dictator Xi Jinping Saturday in China-loving Singapore. Beijing is delusional if it thinks it can influence Taiwan voters with a meeting where the two leaders will address each other as Mr. rather than President. The Mr. meeting will be nothing more than a glorified photo shoot. Followed by a lovely dinner and possibly a scenic stroll to take in some of Singapore's toxic haze. The only thing historic about the meet will be the continued historically bad reporting by Western media on Taiwan. Well, at least Mr. Ma will have a pleasant welcome waiting for him when he gets back to Taiwan. As for Mr. Xi, the Taiwanese have a message for him too. Facebook built a censorship tool to get into the China market. Facebook has been quietly developing a censorship tool for the Chinese that could hide posts that appear in the newsfeed, all in a pathetic attempt to get unbanned in China. So much for making the world more open and connected, eh, Mark? Facebook has taken down posts in countries like Pakistan, Russia, and Turkey before, but this new tool takes it one step further by preventing content from appearing in the first place. The company would then outsource the censorship software to a third party. In this case, it would probably be a Chinese company with ties to Beijing. This partner would then have full control to decide what posts show up in a user's feed. But hey, as long as Facebook can make more in ad revenue, who cares about pesky details like human rights and stuff, right? Actually, some Facebook employees have quit in protest after working on the software. And as for Facebook, we figure since it's been having such a problem with fake news, they might as well just let the Chinese monitor US content as well. A win-win situation. China is trying to up its propaganda game, and Apple is helping out. When it comes to propaganda and state control, the Chinese have mastered the art of subtlety. And by subtlety, we mean they are anything but. As China's millennials have become more tech-savvy, the CCP has tried to up its propaganda game. Xi Jinping has forced propaganda tools to utilize social media, to resist foreign pop culture influences, and to target younger audiences. The party has invested millions in animated videos, while Chinese stooges copied TED-style talks to bag on the West. They even have lame hip-hop groups that kiss CCP butt and warn about America's efforts to topple the party. And now even Apple is getting in on the selling out game. At the behest of Beijing, Apple has kicked the New York Times out of China's Apple Store. Chinese law prohibits the publication of harmful information, aka reality, online. Funny how Tim Cook will refuse to unlock an iPhone in the US, but turns to putty for the CCP. But hey, who needs freedom of information when you can buy a shiny new iPhone?
China takes the fun out of Steam. Reports coming out of China this week say that the Chinese Communist Party has blocked Steam community access. Oh, and that's totally, absolutely nothing to do with Jack Ma's Tencent launching its very own Steam-like store, WeGame, in September. According to reports, the Steam store is still accessible, but the writing may very well be on the wall for the Valve-run gaming website in China. And if that's the case, Valve will be feeling the pinch. Reportedly, millions of their customers come from the PRC. PUBG was banned in the country, but was allowed back in only after Tencent agreed to help make the Chinese version socialist-friendly. And yo, that's what Skyrim mods on Steam really need. Some socialism with Chinese characteristics. So, it's see ya later for Dragonborn. Hello, Chairman Mao.
Vladimir, Putin the moves on Xi Jinping's wifey. Vladimir Putin, who is known more for taking things off, is actually causing a stir this time because he put something on at this year's Apex Star Trek convention in Beijing. The convention this year has been a huge success with lots of really great family-style photos. But it seems like Putin may have taken things too far for Chinese censors when he offered a shawl to Xi Jinping's wife, Peng Liyuan, the other night while cracking a smile at Xi the whole time. Footage was shown on Chinese state television of Peng Liyuan smiling as she accepted the shawl on a frosty night in the Chinese capital. The video quickly went viral and even generated its own hashtag on China's Twitter knockoff, Weibo. Then Chinese censors stepped in and quickly put an end to all the sharing on Weibo and messaging knockoff WeChat. No official word yet on whether Putin was able to seal the deal with Peng. Interestingly, there's been no mention of Putin's gentlemanly gesture on Chinese state broadcasters, Xinhua or CCTV.
Trump and Xi meet for cozy getaway at Mar-a-Lago. Chinese dictator Xi Jinping arrived at the Mar-a-Lago resort for a two-day summit meeting with US President Trump, which promises to not deliver very much. Trump arrived aboard Air Force One after Xi, and the two kicked things off with a manly handshake. Trump and Xi then sat down for a fancy dinner with the old ball and chains before getting into serious talks on security and trade. Unfortunately for Donald, there's no golf planned, which almost defeats the purpose of being at the Southern White House. Trump plans to press China to exercise influence on Crazy Kim and his nukes in North Korea. Trade between the world's two biggest economies will also be on the agenda. Xi won't be sleeping at the resort. He's shacking up at a nearby hotel. Hopefully, Trump will spend some time showing Xi his greatest tweets. The two friends will then wrap things up by seeing who is actually more thin-skinned. Is this gonna be the start of a beautiful friendship? Only time will tell.